Good morning, students. Once again, welcome you all in this English class. Hope you all are enjoying these classes. Students, today we will do 7th lesson of your Footprints Without Feet book, that is The Necklace, written by Guy de Maupassant. First, I will give a little introduction of the lesson. The story revolves around a selfish lady named Matilda. She is unsatisfied with her life as she wants a rich husband, but because she belongs to a family of clerks and her family is unable to give dowry, she is married to a clerk. One day, both the husband and wife are invited to a party at the minister's house, but Matilda does not have good clothes and jewels to wear at such a party. Her husband suggests her to buy a dress and ask an old friend for jewelry. She then borrows a necklace from a friend and goes to the party. What happens next proves to be a lesson for the unhappy lady. Students, now I will start the explanation. Listen it carefully. Matilda Loisel was a pretty young lady who was born into a middle class family who worked as clerks. Her family did not have any means to arrange dowry for her marriage. She did not have any other means by which she could befriend a rich man to be loved or married to him. So, due to these circumstances, she had to marry a clerk in the office of the Board of Education. And because of this, she was unhappy. She used to think that destiny was unfair to her and that she deserved much better than what she had got. She used to get married and was tortured by the condition of her apartment. The dirty walls, the torn furniture used to irritate her. She used to think about elegant dinners being served in marvelous dishes when her husband used to praise the home made food served in a simple dish. She did not have fancy jewels or good dresses. She had a school friend whom she did not like to meet as she was a rich lady. After meeting her, she used to cry for days together, looking at the condition of her life. One day, her husband came home from work in a happy mood, holding an envelope in his hand. He informed her that the envelope was for her and asked her to open it. She quickly pulled out the printed card as she was excited to know what it was about. It was an invitation from the minister. The couple had been invited to a dinner party at the house of the Minister of Public Instruction. She was supposed to be delighted as M. Loisel expected, but she got really angry and threw the card while murmuring something. She asked her husband what did he want her to do with the card. He replied that he had thought that she would be happy as she never went out, that this was a rare occasion to which not many employees were invited. He also told her that she would be meeting a lot of people from his office there. Matilda asked him what could she wear to such a grand party. He stammered, and he had not thought of that. He first asked her to wear the dress that she wore when they went out for movies, but then she was weeping. She, he asked her about the matter. She wiped her tears from her wet cheeks and replied calmly that she could not be a part of such a grand affair and that he should give away the card to some other colleague whose wife was better than her. He felt bad for his wife as he saw her crying and asked her the cost of a simple dress that could be worn by her on another occasions as well. She thought of an amount that would neither be refused by him nor scare the poor clerk. Then she said that she would be able to manage a dress in 400 francs. Mr. Loisel was reluctant as he had saved only that much money to buy a gun for himself so that he could join the hunting parties next summer along with his friends. He told his wife that he would give her the money and asked her to buy a good dress. The day was approaching and Matilda was still not fine, even though her dress was almost ready. One day her husband asked her again that why had she been acting strangely for the past few days. Matilda replied that although she had the dress, she did not have any kind of jewelry or anything else to make herself look even more attractive. She said that without any jewelry, she would look like a poor person in such a big party. She again said that she would rather prefer not going to the party. To this, her husband replied that she could wear some natural flowers over the dress as they looked really nice and attractive. She replied that she could not, as it looked really cheap in the party of rich people. Then her husband suggested that she could go to her friend Mimi Forestier and ask her to lend some jewelry. Matilda became happy again and she heard the idea. She went to Mammy Forrester's house the next day and said that she was stressed about the party and the jewelry. Mammy Forrester went to her closet and brought out her jewel box. Mammy Forrester asked her to choose for herself whatever she wanted. She first saw some bracelets, then some pearl collars, and then a Venetian cross of gold and jewels. She was not able to decide what to take and what to leave. So she asked Mammy Forrester if she had anything else that she could wear. To this, Mammy Forrester replied that she could herself take a look and choose something suitable. She then saw a superb diamond necklace kept in black satin box. She took it out with her trembling hands and wore it. She was overjoyed with the necklace as it looked very beautiful. She asked her friend if she could lend her the diamond necklace. Mammy Forrester consented to it. Matilda hugged her friend with affection and left for her house. The day of the party arrived. Ma'am Lozier was appreciated as she was the prettiest, most elegant, and gracious of all. She was very happy and full of joy as well. The men were noticing her. She was full of enthusiasm and pleasure, and as she was very happy with all the attention she had gained. The couple left the party at 4 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Loisel had already slept at 12 o'clock in one of the halls with three other men, whose wives were also enjoying the party. Mr. Loisel threw the wrap around her shoulders as they were about to leave. The elegance of the party dress was getting ruined by the wrap, as it was not that pretty. She wanted to leave the party quickly because she did not want the rich ladies who had wrapped themselves in rich furs to see her in a cheap wrap. This was because she had portrayed herself as a rich lady by wearing the new dress and the diamond necklace. Mr. Loisel asked her to wait as she was calling a cab, but she was in a hurry and quickly went down the stairs. She did not want to be noticed. As they got on the street, they were looking for a carriage which could take them home but could not find one. Then they saw a coachman at the distance and started calling him. The coachman did not stop. They kept walking together towards the river and finally found a carriage, the kind one finds in Paris at dusk time. The carriage took them to their home and they both went up. By then, they were extremely tired. The enthusiasm and fun for Mademoiselle had ended by then. M. Loisel also remembered that he had to reach his office by 10 in the morning. As she stood in front of the mirror and removed the wrap to see herself one last time in the beautiful dress and necklace, she cried because the necklace was missing. It was not on her neck. Mr. Loisel was already half undressed by then and was almost ready to go to sleep. When he asked her the reason for shouting, she turned towards him and said, Ma'am Forrester's necklace was missing, and that is might have fallen somewhere. They searched it in the folds of the dresses, the cloak, and in the pockets, but could not find it. Mr. Loisel then asked her if she remembered having it on while they were leaving the minister's house. Ma'am Loisel said that she remembered having it on as she had felt it while leaving the house of the minister. Mr. Loisel said that if it would have fallen on the street, then they would have heard the sound of it falling, but they did not hear anything, which meant that it must have fallen in the cab. To this she replied that it could be possible that what he said was right and asked him if he noted down the number of the car. Both of them had not seen the number of that carriage. They were let down by what had just happened, and Mr. Loisel dressed up again to go and look on the tracks where they were walking. She remained at home wearing her evening gown, whereas her husband went out in search of necklace. And Loisel returned at around 7 in the morning and announced that he had not found anything. He also went to the police and cab officers asking about it and gave an advertisement about it in the newspaper, offering a reward for whoever returned it. Madame Loisel waited for her husband the whole day, and when he returned, he announced that he had not been able to find the necklace. Mr. Loisel told his wife to write to Ma'am Forrester that they had given the necklace for repairing as the hook of the necklace had broken. After looking for it for almost a week, they decided to buy another necklace for Ma'am Forrester as they were not able to find the original one. Then they started looking for a necklace similar to one they had lost and found one in shop at Paris Royal. The price for the necklace was 36,000 francs with a discount of 4,000 francs. Mr. Loisel had about 18,000 francs which were given to him by his father before his death. He borrowed the rest of the money from different moneylenders. He then bought the new necklace from the shop by paying the full amount. When Mem Loisel took the necklace to her friend told her that she should have returned it earlier as she too needed it. Ma'am Forrester did not open the jewel box, as Ma'am Loisel feared she would. What would she think if she should perceive the substitution? What should she say? Would she take her for a robber? Ma'am Loisel now knew the horrible life of necessity. She did her part, however, completely heroically. It was necessary to pay this frightful debt. She would pay it. They sent away the maid. They changed their lodgings. They rented some rooms in an attic. She learned the odious work of the kitchen. She washed the dishes. She washed the soiled linen, their clothes and disclothes, which she hung on the line to dry. She took down the refuse to street each morning and brought up the water, stopping at each landing to catch her breath, and clothed like a woman of her people, of the people. She went to the grocers and butchers and to the fruiters with her basket on her arm, shopping hanging to the last sow of her miserable money. The husband worked evenings, putting the books of some merchants in order, and nights he often did copying at 5 sous of a page. And this life lasted for 10 years. At the end, 10 years, they had restored all Memeloisels seemed old now. She had become a strong, hard woman, the crude woman of the poor household, her hair badly dressed, her skirts awry, her hands red. She spoke in a loud tone and washed the floors with large pails of water. But sometimes, when her husband was at the office, she would seat herself before the window and think of that evening party of former times of that ball, where she was so beautiful and so flattered. How would it have been if she had not lost the necklace? Who knows how singular in life and how full of changes. How small a thing will ruin or save one. One Sunday, as she was taking a walk in the Champs-Elysees to rid herself of the cares of the week, she suddenly perceived a woman walking with a child. It was Ma'am Forrester, still young, still pretty, still attractive. Ma'am Loisel was affected. Should she speak to her? Yes, certainly, and now that she had paid, she would tell her all. Why not? She approached her. Good morning, Jenny. Her friend did not recognize her and was astonished to be so familiarly addressed by this common personage. She stammered, But, madam, I don't know. You must be mistaken. No, I am Matilda Loisel. Her friend uttered a cry of astonishment. Oh, my poor Matilda, how you have changed! One day she was relieving herself of the stress of the week and enjoying a walk along the Champs-Elysees. Yes, I have had some hard days since I saw you, and some miserable ones, and all because of you, because of me. How is that? You recall the diamond necklace that you loaned me to wear to the minister's ball. Yes, very well. Well, I lost it. How is that? Since you returned it to me, I returned another to you exactly like it, and it has taken us 10 years to pay for it. You can understand that it was not easy for us who have nothing, but it is finished, and I am decently content. My forester stopped short. She said, "You say that you bought a diamond necklace to replace mine." Yes, you did not. You did not perceive it then. They were just alike, and she smiled with proud and simple joy. My forester was touched and took both her hands as she replied, "Oh, my poor Matilda, mine were false. They were not worth over 500 francs." And finally, the story is over. And Matilda was shocked after that, whatever she had listened by Ma'am Forrester. Finally, we have completed the summary, we have completed the explanation of the lesson. So, listen it carefully. God bless you, thank you, and do the work which I have given you.